Never seen a lame man walk. Never heard a dumb man talk. Never seen a blind man see. I promise you will change his name. Never seen a canceled death. Never seen all the poor get fed. Never seen a prisoner set free. I promise you will change his name. Broken heart made whole. Never seen an orphan find a home. Never seen a weak find the strength.
Hey, it's time for the podcast, Clint.
Woohoo!
Big C, are you with me? Oh, yeah.
Boom.
We having podcast ain't going nowhere. Come on. How you doing, man?
What, we up to 14 now?
Something like that. Yeah, I don't know.
Something like that. Remember,
it's craziness.
Remember when my high school history teacher said I'd never amount to anything? Well, I've done 14 podcasts.
Take that, lady.
Take that.
That's right. That was a mic drop in case you didn't.
Yep, I used the pen because I don't have a mic.
We don't have a
mic.
We're going with headphones.
Hello.
Sorry. What do I do with my hands? That's right. Take that, Miss Simpson.
Yeah.
Look where Clint's at now. Well, this is the 15th.
Oh, 15th.
This is
15 podcasts and a bachelor's degree in sociology. What's up with that?
What's up? And the brand stanza rocking it behind you. That's right.
Do you have a brand stanza? No.
Which, hey, man, hey, big happy birthday to Bobby B, Robert Branskill. He turned 45 yesterday. And in Hometown Roofing celebrated. I'm sure. I think he got him a new ride.
He did. He swung by and saw me today. I will actually be 45 this coming Sunday on the 20th.
That's right. Big C's birthday is coming up. Welcome to the 45, man. The water's good.
The water's good. You've been there since March, or
May.
Yeah. Yeah, you're the oldest.
I'm the oldest.
Born in May. Then Robert was born on the 21st of June. I was born on the 27th of June.
And then Wes is a little baby.
The little wee baby.
He's just a little guy.
Little guy. He is born. He was born in September.
September 1st.
September 1st. So.
And our boy Johnny Arkansas, Stephen Bellick is.
Oh yeah.
August 31st.
God,
him and Claude.
Speaking of Johnny Arkansas, how much fun was it watching him get verbally abused by Gordon Ramsay?
Man, it was Gordon was pretty mean.
He was mean to him.
That's our boy. Yeah, but Stephen, he stood strong though, and he said he got a lot of publicity off of that. So
oh yeah.
He's now living like in Baghdad somewhere, living off the land.
Whatever floats your boat, man.
Changing the world, man.
I'll stick to the subdivision.
That's right. But hey, not Johnny Arkansas, baby. Yeah. He's our guy. We had a lot of fun with that cat.
Oh man. I mean, we could fill up like 3 or 4 podcasts with just funny stories about what happened over at the Bellick house.
Yeah. Well, me and Clint were going to hang out there because they had Little Debbie's and 2-liter bottles of Big K Cola. Yeah. They had that and ramen noodles.
They had a Sam's Club membership before Sam's Club memberships were cool.
When you got 8 kids, you traveled to Little Rock for Sam's Club.
Yeah.
That's what you did in the 80s and 90s there. You traveled to Little Rock.
Yeah, they didn't have 2, they had 1.
That's right.
They had 1 Sam's Club and they'd go there.
Yeah. And it was there on what's that road there where the Rave Theater is? Colonel Glenn.
Yeah. It's the Clear Channel building now.
Clear Channel building.
Which I think Clear Channel is actually moving out of it. They're trying to downsize. That last time we had Kissing Out for Remote, that's what the DJ was telling me. Now, speaking of Clear Channel, it kind of segues to our Holy Schnikes moment of the week.
That's right. Yep.
And it's a little bit more serious this week. A lot legendary Arkansas DJ started off. No telling where he started off, but most of us know him from Magic 105.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up in high school, he's in Magic 105. That was the rock station.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted to listen to any of the cool kid music back then, AC/DC, any of the others, any of the other rock music. It was Magic 105. Had him, Danny Joe Crawford, Tom Wood, other legendaries.
And later on, Basil and Roger Scott.
Yeah, he transitioned to 103.7.
Now you remember who he had come in every now and then, who me and you actually got to hang out with some.
Who was that?
The Wrestling Man.
Oh yeah.
Roger does his little voice about Wrestling Man, and I'm always like, me and Clint hung out with that dude. We know the real Wrestling Man. Yeah, and Roger Scott's imitation is not far off.
No, and Wrestling Man thought higher of Wrestling Man than literally anybody else in this world. I don't know if Wrestling Man really ever was a wrestler. He tried to show me a really bad spot that I never really wanted. I was like, dude, that's dumb. He's like, you're blown up. You're tired. I'm like, I'm not tired. That spot you're trying to show me is dumb.
Yeah.
And because he's trying to get something.
For those of y'all that don't speak wrestling, a spot is a maneuver or a move in wrestling.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not but I remember he set up a show for us. This is a Wrestling Man story, and this is chasing a rabbit here, and I apologize. I don't care. It's my podcast to do what I want. Unless Travis says I can't. So we let Wrestling Man set up some shows for us back when I was doing professional wrestling. This show, I'm not kidding you, was in a field. Like there wasn't houses around it. There was like a barn. There's a field. We had like maybe 2 paying customers that he had set up. We had drove the ring out there. I remember some little kid rode up on a bike and Wrestling was like, hey, if you're going to sit here and watch, you got to pay. Just having to ride around on a bike. But I remember he punched Terry Hike, like supposed to be a working punch where, you don't really kill him. He tatered Terry, and like Terry had a big old whelp over on his eye. So it was supposed to be on a battle royal, and I had, because I wore the purple singlet, as we've talked about on this podcast.
Oh my goodness!
So I had the Barney on, I think it was like a shovel handle. We had it stuff, and I was mad at him for doing it. I was looking for him. I was about to kill him with that thing. I was going to attempt to break it over his back. Which wasn't going to happen, but fortunately he was nowhere to be found by the time I was in there.
Yeah,
that's my Wrestling Man story. But he Terry Hike was a manager. He wasn't a wrestler. So I apologize. I want to finish the story.
Well, another little rabbit here. Every now and then on Facebook, on like youth ministry groups and stuff, there's a picture that goes around and says wrestling and revival, like spray painted on a board or something, like for a sign outside of church, and everybody laughs yeah, that's what we need to do, wrestling and revival. Well, folks, you do need to do it, because we did it at Worcester First Baptist one night. we had a wrestling ring on the church grounds.
Yeah, we did.
Clint and them did a show, and I think we had a couple folks get saved that night. So booyah, take that. Anyway,
I do remember we did the ending. We did a battle royal, and I was supposed to come down to me and Scotty Fury, and I went over the top rope, and I was supposed to catch myself and come back up to the apron, and then he's going to drop kick me off. Well, my big butt went over, and I was trying to catch myself, and I fell over, and all these little kids came up and were kicking me, and your mom was so mad, and I'm like, this is great. I got that good heat. Little kids are kicking me.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, let's go back to the serious part.
Yeah.
So Clint, we grew up listening to Tommy Smith. Okay.
We did.
And I mean, that was part of course, there was times when, man, as a good Christian boy, I had to repent listening to him back in the 105 days. But he's someone that I've always listened to and looked up to. And And about 10 years ago, he made some bad mistakes and he got arrested one day. And he was already had some other things happen on the radio where he had passed out and things, but he was dealing with an alcohol issue. And he was very open about it, very vocal. And we're not saying anything that everything we say and we've heard on the radio. Okay. And he handled it very well, as far as humbly. And he went and got help at Betty Ford, thanks to some good friends, thanks to Frank Fletcher, thanks to Basil and Roger Scott, who's dealt with his own struggles with addiction. And then this week, Tommy came out and said that he had slipped up. Now, once again, handling it with class, as Tommy has always done. He was honest. He said, look, I had a bad day one day. He said, a friend of mine had committed suicide. He said, there's no excuses. But he said, I drank some beer. And he said, and that led to more of it than I should have. But from what he said, it didn't go much past beer. Okay. I mean, he didn't go, deep into another rock bottom necessarily. But thankfully, he was smart enough to know where he was going, the way it sounds. And he's gone off to go get some help again. Clint, I know me and you have talked about this, man. We're all flawed. Every one of us. We're all messed up. We struggle with things. And the way Tommy Smith, once again, man, he's a guy. I've met him one time, Clint.
Yeah.
One time. I went in and I did the Clergy Bowl a few years ago, where they invite ministers in to do a little trivia thing against other ministers. And I wasn't nervous about the trivia. I wasn't, as cool as David Basil is, I wasn't nervous about him.
Yeah.
I wasn't nervous about meeting Roger Scott, as cool as he is. I respect those guys too. I was nervous meeting Tommy Smith.
Well, Tommy Smith's a legend. I mean, and I want to make fun of you a little bit about the Clergy Bowl later, because how did you do in the Clergy Bowl?
Yeah, let's not talk about that. But anyway,
we're going to talk about it.
I even took Tommy a book. Y'all have heard me talk about the Maude Crawford, the thing that happened here that I'm trying to figure out a way to get a movie made about it. I got an idea for a movie. I took Tommy that book because I thought he was reading during that time. He was talking about stuff he was reading, and it has some Arkansas history involved in it. So I thought, but I can tell you of all the things he's done on the radio, and the guy, I've learned more Razorback stuff from him than probably anybody. I've learned more music. I mean, I love music, and man, there's tons about music I've learned from listening to him. And that's one of the reasons I love his show, because I'm gonna learn about music. I'm gonna learn about things I like. Okay, music, sports, and sometimes he'll talk some pop culture stuff. But Clint, and you can say some more, but I'm so impressed with the way he's dealing with this.
I really am. And, and there's something to be said. And part of the reason we me and you discussed this and why we wanted to have it as our only Schneikes moment is because there's something to be said about realizing you have a problem and getting help.
That's right.
I don't know what it's like to be addicted to alcohol. I've been blessed where I'm the type of guy that I can have a drink and I cannot touch it for a year. Personally, I haven't drank in several years because I just don't like the way it makes me feel. But I'm addicted. I don't mind saying on the show, I'm addicted to cigarettes. And that's part of the reason I don't smoke anymore. I put them down, and I understand what it's like to relapse, because when I was going through my divorce, I picked them back up. And, I had a lot of friends say, look, let's get through this divorce. Let's get through this stress. Then we're about the cigarettes. And it just, to me, it took one day just saying, you know what, Clint, enough, you're done. But that was my path. But Tommy obviously understands, it's hard on alcoholism and any major drug addictions to do that. I mean, you walk down the nicotine aisle. I mean, there's a whole array of products at Walmart just to try to get you to quit smoking. It's big business, and that's how vaping got started. And now you see anyway, I'm chasing a rabbit that I don't need to chase, but
everybody's addiction's different.
Yeah.
Everybody's, the way some have dealt with, the way some deal, there's lots of folks that deal with alcoholism, but for some, the teeth are in there harder than others. And it is more difficult for others. And the struggle is a lot more.
Yeah.
It's just different. Every person's wired different. We're all wired. Thankfully, God made us all different. And we deal with things differently.
Now, I want to say something right here, and I'm going to pay you a compliment when I'm doing this. You could safely say one of your addictions is food.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, I know we start off a bet. If this is the first time you're listening, we have a bet. We're taking a guys trip next year, thinking about Austin. So we're going to do the horns down in front of the Longhorn Stadium, amongst other things, and eat a lot of barbecue. But I agreed to get a tattoo on my left butt cheek that says, this booty is covered by Hometown Roofing, logo and everything. If Travis can lose 100 pounds by the time of that trip. And I want to tell you, Travis, you're looking great. You're really, my wife even complimented you the other day, said she could really tell it in your cheeks and down here, stuff like that. So there you go. So
it is, and that's the only, I don't know what it's like to deal with alcoholism. Be honest with you, the last time I drank alcohol was our senior year of high school.
Yeah.
That was the last time I was drunk, last time I drank. Tobacco's never, I tried to dip. I dipped a lot in high school just because I wanted to look cool. I'd keep a can of dip in my truck, and if I was around people that dipped, I'd get a dip out sometimes, but I never got addicted to it. It doesn't have a draw to me. It doesn't, I can go sit in a bar. I mean, I don't really, but I mean, I can sit around people that are drinking. I don't get tempted to drink. It's not anything I can do. But I know what it's like to deal with addiction to food, and, struggle with that. And the other thing with Tommy though, man, is Clint, he's helped him and Roger both. And I'm sure Basil too, when they're on that show. If you listen to the show with no name on the Buzz, they have helped so many people since Tommy got clean, man. He'll have people call into him, and I've heard him and I don't listen every day. I don't listen for the whole show. I usually listen in short segments, right? But in just those times I listen, he's told stories about driving down to Camden because we have a good rehab here and getting people into a rehab here. Yeah. I've heard him talk about, I think there's like a 1-800 number in Arkansas now you can call, and they keep track of openings in different rehabs all over the state. So they can tell you a place to get into. And Tommy was one of the key figures to help get that organized, because he was having trouble because people were coming to him for help and he didn't know where to send them. Man, he's done so much. And man, that's, and sadly, Tommy's, announced his retirement. He's going to retire within the next year. And I really hate that part of that year is going to be taken off because of this.
Yeah.
Because we're missing out for some of Tommy Smith's, last few days on the radio.
Yeah.
Because of it. But I'm so proud of him for the way that he didn't have Basil and them read a statement. He got on the radio, and then they recorded what he said, and it's on their SoundCloud. You can go to their SoundCloud and find it. You can go to Twitter and find it. It's Tommy Smith and his voice saying, here's what I did. Here's what I'm going to do about it. And look, Clint, I'm a minister, and one of my jobs is to help people. And I got to tell you, there's some ways that can be argued that Tommy Smith is not doing it in a church, and he's not doing it maybe for the exact same reasons I am. But he's probably doing more for people than a lot of ministers out there are doing, because he's making a huge difference in people's lives. Because there's a lot of people like me, man, I feel like I know the guy, and I've barely met him.
I mean, what would you say in our lifetime? He's definitely in the top 3 radio personalities in the state of Arkansas.
Oh yeah,
I would say it's him and Randy Rainwater 1 and 2. If Craig O'Neill hadn't got out of the game, he would be mentioned. But them 3 right there are probably the 3.
Well, and you got the guy that spoke at our graduation.
Oh, Bob Robbins.
Bob Robbins. Yeah.
Bob Robbins. Yeah, that is true.
But I took time to pray. Remember he read that poem and wore his cowboy hat at our
I'll be honest with you, I tuned him out.
Okay. I paid attention.
If you speak longer than 5-10 minutes, my attention span's measured in nanoseconds.
Yeah.
Because I get too often on here, I'm like, I'm waiting on you to shut up so I can talk. I'm not even listening to you. It's just me.
Well, I'll tell you, I think Craig O'Neill is probably one of the most underrated.
He is.
Because he was funny when he was on the radio. But
and he was a very good sports anchor, and now he's worked his way up to just the regular news anchor.
Yeah.
But now let's talk about this Clergy Bowl some.
Let's keep talking about other things.
Okay, we can keep talking about other things.
What are we going to talk about? Something else than that?
No, it's the clergy. Hey, so how many people were in the clergy? Well, okay, first let's forget about that. First off, you can see a few different people in the picture. One person has won the Clergy Bowl.
Oh no!
That guy's won the Clergy Bowl.
Robert did win the Clergy Bowl.
He won the Clergy Bowl.
Yeah.
How can Robert Branscombe win the Clergy Bowl and not you? I mean, and by the way, people, they did not compete the same year.
No, we didn't.
No, so it's not like Robert beat Travis.
Yeah.
In a roundabout way, he did, though.
In a roundabout way, he did.
He did.
He's got the trophy.
He's got the trophy. Travis does not have a trophy.
I do not have the trophy.
Now, there was.
Why do you got to bring this up?
Now, I remember you called me one day out of the blue. You're like, "Hey, Clint, I need to go to West End Smokehouse and Tavern because I signed up for this contest. I'm one of the finalists or semifinalists for this big contest to win a big screen TV."
Yeah, this was a few years before the Clergy Bowl.
It was a 274-inch TV.
No,
they hauled it on a tractor trailer.
No, it wasn't that
I'm just making it up. We're gonna say it's 87 inches, which is about the size of my lip.
No, it was actually only like 50 inch. Like it was, but this was at the time.
Are you at the time?
I was rocking a 27-inch Sanyo. Okay, I was rocking a 27-inch Sanyo with the big back end on it. You know, that gave you a backache every time you picked it up.
Yeah, it's a piece of furniture.
That's right.
But I went there, and you were literally the last guy to get through. And I was saying about this story. So you were the last guy. Like he was like, "Hey, we got a tie for like 4th place."
Yeah.
And so basically, you had to do a pause call. Like you're like, "Touchdown, Arkansas!" Oh my, the legendary Paul Eels.
Yeah, I did something like, "He's at the 30, he's at the 20, he's at the 10, 5. Touchdown, Arkansas!" Or something.
And the other guy was wearing a Texas Longhorn hat.
Yeah.
And he did the play-by-play on this turnover. And so,
yeah.
which I want to tell you, that guy has got some guts to do the play in front of, I think it's Freaky Joe Franklin, Eric Sullivan. I think Acree may have been there. I'm not sure.
I think Acree was there, yeah.
Because that was when he was still foot in Channel 7, a foot in the Buzz.
Yeah.
And so you went on television in that contest
that was an interesting deal. We went on, and it was what it was they used to do Sports Week on Sunday night. They did a little sports talk show with it was Steve Sullivan, and during football he had Bruce James and Basil, and during basketball he had Ernie Murray and Nelson Catalina. And so we get there, and there's 4 of us competing. Okay. And they gave us 2 questions. They said, we're going to ask you one of these 2 questions. Okay. And so, and I'm not a sit down and write out my answers type of guy. You know, I may not sit down and write it out, but I'm working it through in my mind. So we're in the little green room, which was just a room with a couch and a coffee table and a refrigerator and a water thing or whatever. And so we're in there, and one of the questions was, which former Razorback would you add to this current team?
And now you answered that with the exact same person I would have added.
Yeah. And at the time we needed, we had an athletic team. I forget who all was on the team, but we didn't have a good point guard. Okay. But we were also missing a 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
Now I end up being the first one to go out. They just drawed me first. Okay. So I got to watch all the other 3 guys too. I go out and I sit down with Steve on the couch. You know, it's couch commentator, so I sit down with him, and that's the question he asked: who would you add? And I gave a great answer. I said I would pick Corey Beck. I said he's my favorite Razorback. I said, but what we need some floor leadership for this team, because we have some athletes. We have, and so I gave a good answer. I said, you know, we have athletes. We have this. We have this. Now another guy said Corey Beck. And he ended up winning. And the thing was, he was a dentist. He didn't need a TV. He could afford a TV. I was a poor youth pastor in South Arkansas. I couldn't afford a TV. And then the other 2 guys said Corliss Williamson, which we had post players in.
Yeah.
Now, Clint, if I was smart, if I would have thought it through a little better, I would have said Lee Mayberry, because he would have added a 3-point shooter. Plus, Ernie Murray was his backup. And Nelson Catalina got beat by him when Arkansas beat Arkansas State in the NIT we talked about several podcasts ago. So those 2 would have automatically perked up.
Yeah.
Now, Ernie Murray did come to me and say, we took a picture at the end of it, and he leaned over to me and said, I voted for you. I thought you were better. But the other guy got first. So it was 2-1 votes. And yes, Clint, I lost.
So, now, to segue, what do you think as a fan grew up watching Arkansas football, basketball, sports? Maybe you're a Cleveland Brown fan too. I'm a St. Louis Cardinal fan, because I remember they were playing the Giants one year in the world in like the National League Championship Series. So it was like a Game 7. And it was at the end of the game. It was tight. Me and my ex-wife were arguing. She just came home, and we were arguing about something. And right as we were in the middle of the argument, the Giants walked off. And like I just thought about that story. I was like, well, that didn't help things.
Yeah.
So what's the most painful loss as a fan you can remember?
2003, when we lost to Florida.
That
and
hurt.
Tony Bua got that spearing call on Chris Leak. Now, here's why that hurts so bad, Clint. Because we felt like we got robbed on that play. When we made a big comeback in the second half.
Yeah.
I was sitting on like the 40-something yard line, lower deck. And most of the people had left at halftime around me. I was there with my buddy Adam Sandiford, and like I look up and Adam is running down about 30 yards, and no one else is on our row. Like he's just running down, high-fiving people that were around. Okay, and we came back. But here was why that was such a tough loss, because I went to quite a few games during that time, but not every one of them. But I was there the week before when we lost to Auburn. And you remember in that game, we had a horrible block in the back call against us that caused us to lose that game.
I think we were at that game together.
We may have. Were we upper deck?
Yeah, upper deck.
Yeah. So that's why it was so bad. Now, also, was it that year also that we played Texas and lost to them up there?
Yeah, I think so.
That was, or maybe
I don't know.
We played Texas that year. I had it pulled up.
But I do remember that game because that was painful.
The next year we played Texas.
Yeah, because I believe I was actually in Knoxville, Tennessee, for that game because Auburn played Tennessee that day, and this was the undefeated Auburn team.
Mm.
And I remember we went and walked around downtown Knoxville, and man, that thing. And of course, me being me, I was wearing a Razorback shirt.
Yeah.
They were trying to talk me into wearing orange. I'm like, ain't happening.
Yeah,
they were like, if people walked to me like, how about the Florida Gators? I'm like, yeah, they won.
All right. So what's your worst as a fan?
Man, it is. And I thought about saying the '95 basketball team.
Yeah.
Because that one hurt.
Dang you, Tice, isn't he?
You couldn't stop those Band brothers. They were just, were good.
Toby Bailey's what killed us.
But does it get worse than watching a pop-up?
Oh, no.
Fall between three guys. I mean, literally, the pitcher goes like it's up there, and then you have three guys, and then the next thing he gets a base hit. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. We're still at one run. Crank, and they were beat, and then they were beat after that.
You went on that one especially from ones that I wasn't there for.
And I thought about. And the thing was, like, I wanted to bring up the Sternover. Like, that's a painful loss. I was at and I was playing football for Tech at the time when the Sternover happened. I listened to Paul's call of it, Paul Eels, but because they kept coming on the radio and they're saying, "Hey, this is they come on the loudspeaker saying Arkansas is up," and I was like, "What?" And like it was like I heard two things over and over: the Arkansas score. And that's good for a new SAU record a lot that day. Like, I think that game, like I'd made Coach Mullins mad. So like all but two players that got in the game and one of them was me. The other one, Kevin Coffin.
So another Faulkner County boy.
No, yeah, it was like he had it. Well,
all right. So what about your worst loss as a participant?
Okay. Now this one, I'm going back to 1999 at Arkansas Tech University.
Okay.
We were playing Delta State.
Oh,
Delta State, who's now coached by Arkansas Tech alum Todd Cooley.
Yep.
Who
at that time they were coached by Todd Knight, right?
I think they were coached by Todd Knight. It was a 14-7 game. At some point during, I think, the first half, it is one of them games where just a bunch of stuff was going wrong. Our starting fullback, who was Chris Taylor, who was quarterback at Atkins when we played, Chris Taylor got back spasms before the game. Like he couldn't even walk. His back was spazzing so bad. Just in warm-ups, just out of the blue. And Chris didn't have back problems. It just happened. Our starting right tackle, Danny Albright, got a concussion in the game. And so his backup was a true freshman. And then we ran a quarterback throwback. And we had a transfer quarterback named George Hart from San Jose State. And he got kid in the knee and tore every ligament in his knee. And so we lost that game 14-7, and it was one of them games where we would run it up the gut, and we couldn't pass for anything. We'd go first, second down, we'd run it up the gut. Third, we'd run a pass, it wouldn't work. I think we probably had 100 yards total offense. We lost that game 14-7, and we had a really good football team. And it just hurt to lose that one. At one point, Coach Mullins, of course, I was the backup center, backup most of the time. But at one point, Coach Mullins goes, Clint Clark. I'm like, don't put me in this. I don't want don't you do it. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. I ain't going out there.
Clint's like, I'm behind it.
It gets to the fourth quarter when it's out of hand. I'm your guy.
That's right.
I do it. Don't.
When they got their backups in, that's
I don't want their first guy.
No,
you should give me that third guy on the bench. But yeah, he called me over to get some snaps. I think just because Shane Savoy was just used to me snapping the ball, so he thought maybe it helped for me to help get a couple of me to calm him down, and it didn't. But well, he came over and Clint Reed just started there, pushed me all the way like I got it. I go, okay, Chief. I don't want to go out there and know it.
That's right.
But so how about you? How about you as a player?
Mine goes back to 7th grade, all the way back. We were I was just a chubby little roly-poly of a right tackle for Greenbrier 7th grade football team. I'd moved the year before from Clinton, so I wanted to play against Clinton.
Yeah.
That was my goal. And so I'd never played Pee Wee football. Some of the Greenbrier kids had played Pee Wee. And so I'm having to learn everything. And then plus I wasn't that good, but I worked my way up to where at the Clinton game, the coach, I begged him, let me go out as a captain. I wanted to go out for the coin toss in, my old stomping grounds or whatever. Right. And so he let me go out for the coin toss. And then one of our starters kept messing up. And so he put me in the game. And I played the whole rest of the game. And for our next week was going to be our last game of the season against Valonia. And he told me, Travis, you're starting. And, man, I was fired up. I was ready. And I went out there, and we were playing Valonia. We hadn't won a game all year. Okay.
Oh, we were terrible.
We hadn't even been close in a game all year. I mean, we were bad. And we could barely do a handoff. It was ugly. Yeah. So we get out there, and they scored early on us, I think, 6-0. And then we're driving, and it's toward the end of the game, just a couple minutes left or something like that. And we're down about inside the 10-yard line, okay? And our coach comes out there, calls a timeout, Coach Clark, and we didn't have a pass play in the book.
No,
well, I think we may have had a tight end dump.
Yeah, which is all we had in high school too. And Coach Buster's offense, that was our pass play, a tight end.
That's right,
dump.
Yeah.
And the wraparound draw.
That's right. So the coach, literally on his chest, starts drawing up the play. This is 4th down, inside the 10-yard line, down 6-0. We don't have it's 7th grade. You don't have a kicker.
Yeah. He
said our backup quarterback, Lewis, was a quarterback. I forget his last name. Wesley, our buddy, Wesley Rowland, was a receiver. He said, Wesley, I want you to run to the back of the end zone and stand there and wave your arms so Lewis can see you. Because this is 7th grade. Let's be honest. Wes was 3'2".
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's 4'2" now, but he was 3'2" then. Yeah. Anyway, so, and he said Lewis didn't even know how to take a drop as a quarterback. He didn't know how to take it a 5-step drop. He said, Lewis, I want you to run back about 3 or 4 steps, look at Wes, and throw it up to him. okay. And he said, Line, you just don't let them to Lewis. You just stand up and you don't let them get to Lewis. that was our pass blocking training right there. That was it. All the pass blocking training we had the whole year, that was it.
And 5 seconds.
So we get up, I come out of my stance. I just pushed the guy in front of me. I didn't know what I was doing. I think I did the chicken wing thing, because they were teaching us that back then. That you use your forearms, get all bruised up. Anyway, so I do that. And all of a sudden, the defense, I remember watching the defensive guy. He's like, what are they doing? He's like, he gets this look on his face, like he's looking around my fat head, and he's like, what are they? And I turn around to see Lewis rear back to throw it. And I see the ball go above my head. And I see Wes over there doing this. And Wes catches it like a punt, like with both arms in front of it like this, like on his knees, catches it. Touchdown, Greenbrier. Dude, we were so pumped. Of course, we didn't get the extra point. But Clint, we were about to end the season with a tie against Bologna.
Yeah.
That was as good as a win for us. All we had to do, they'd only scored 6 points on us. All we had to do was keep them from going down the field. I think they got the ball at, the 25-yard line, something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
All we had to do was stop them for like a minute. Okay, it was like a minute or less in the game. Well, we get ready to snap the ball in the first play. All of a sudden, we look over, and our left cornerback, Danny Murphy, is running toward our sideline because his ear pad had fell out of his helmet. He left his position because of an ear pad had fallen out. What play did they run, Clint?
Oh, I'm sure it was a go.
It was a sweep right.
Oh, no.
Right to his side, where he would have been the main defender there.
Busted a 75-yard run.
They ran it down the sideline for a 75-yard touchdown. We lose. Our last game of the season, we thought, like, we were over there celebrating like we just won the Super Bowl, because we thought, hey, we got a tie. We were celebrating a tie, Clint. That's how bad we were.
Your memory is so much better than mine, because I don't remember this. And obviously it wasn't that painful to me.
Oh, I do remember. Me.
I mean, and you're talking to a guy, and I the only reason I didn't go with this because it wasn't a real game. But also, I've told this story on this podcast when I snapped the ball over the quarterback's head in the fall scrimmage right before the season started. And the twos are about to beat the ones. And then I'm the one that blew it for them.
Yeah.
Oh, God. No. So now I have an interesting proposition for you. So
I want to hear this.
Me and you next week.
Next week.
Mano y mano.
On this podcast?
On this podcast. We get somebody we don't know. We'll figure out who can do it, but me and you basically do a clergy bowl against each other. Because it's your chance for redemption. It is my chance to prove that I have the best sports trivia.
We're on.
All right. I'm gonna get a trophy. I'm gonna get a trophy. I'm gonna get like a certificate. This says we're gonna call it the Branscombe Cup.
Branscombe Cup.
And that way we can I can put it like right here. The Branscombe, like the first annual Branscombe Cup.
I'm gonna sit here and drink milk out of
it. You could win the Branscombe Cup. It's gonna be the biggest thing since the invention of fire, the invention of the submarine,
the wheel.
Yeah. The first water slide.
What if
the Branscombe Cup?
What if we get on here though, Clint, and we can't answer any of the questions?
Then we'll just make fun of how dumb we are.
Okay. All right, just so we're ready for that.
I do jiu-jitsu, and one of the things you always, every time you go out there and you compete, you take the chance of being humiliated.
That's right.
So you got to compete.
That's right.
Hey,
I take that chance every time I roll out of bed.
Yeah, you could drive down the field for the win, or you can snap the ball over the quarterback's head.
That's right.
You don't know what's going to happen.
That's right.
And in my defense, he should have known I didn't know where it was going. They'd see me practice.
That's right.
We played Atkins in junior high, and I was the deep snapper. And I swear to you, and you're probably at this game and remember being mad at me, I snapped the ball everywhere but to the punter. I snapped it over his head. I rolled like 2 or 3 back there to him. It was bad. Like I was done. Like my senior year, I was like, "Hey, coach, can I try deep snap?" He's like, "No, I had enough of that in junior high." No.
That's right.
Okay.
I never did try. I could deep snap, but I never did want to do it.
Now I
didn't want that pressure.
Can you stop recording for a second, or at least just pretend like you did?
Pretend like I did?
Yeah, just look. Boop, boop, boop. So now that Travis isn't recording, Robert Branthman was a better deep snapper than me. It's true. He was. He was better. He was a better deep snapper than me.
That's right. Yeah, but we won't tell anybody. Don't worry. That'll never get out there.
The Rhinos, and they said, "Hey, can you snap for extra points?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Because my roommate Matt, he was the snapper for extra points, and he said we get to the 30-yard line, he'd get nervous because he knew he was going to have to snap.
Yeah.
He's like, "Coach, I don't want to do this."
Yeah. There's probably a few of my you talk about embarrassing moments. There's probably a few of my kicks when I was a kicker that were pretty embarrassing looking too.
I mean, but
the one field goal I made, but I was only attempted one.
Yeah.
But I made it. But it was pretty embarrassing to watch it go in.
Adam Vinatieri's jealous of your percentage, baby.
That's right. He is. That's right.
So
that's right.
All right.
One for 23 yards. So next week it's the Big C and Bigger T Bowl.
So wait, are we Sweet 16 next week?
Yeah, it'll be 16 next week.
Sweet 16.
That's right.
And we don't know who we're going to get to do it. I may have to get I may have to get my IT department and just set her over there and say, "Hey, ask questions."
Maybe. Well, listen, y'all, we hope you're enjoying listening to this. Thank you for listening to us talk about Tommy Smith today. Me and Clint heard about that the other day, and Clint called and said, "Hey, I want to talk about that." And I agreed because, first of all, if you're struggling with something, let's all learn something from Tommy. Don't be afraid to get help.
No.
Don't be afraid to reach out to other people. We're living in a world right now where mental health and things like that are and there's a lot of stuff going on, and people have tended to just close in and not reach out to other people. And there are people that care, that want to help you. Heck, contact me on Twitter, on any of these. I'd love to talk to you.
Exactly.
And if I don't know the answer, I know lots of smart people. And Clint's the same way. We know lots of smart people, but I'm not going to pretend to know all the answers. But I bet I can point you to someone who does. And so if there's ever anything we can do, we're on here to have a good time. This is a creative outlet for Clint and I. This is a lot of fun for us. This is me and Clint. Me and Clint would have these conversations if we wasn't on here. But we enjoy doing this. But if we can help anybody at any time, we want to be like Tommy in that way. Okay, and so if there's ever anything we can do, please let us know. And way you can help us is like and share this podcast. Okay, get on Apple Podcast and Spotify and write a review, tell people how much you enjoy this, even if it's just one sentence or just 2 words, it's great. That's all it takes, and that'll help us out big time, okay? Because people get on there, search stuff, and we need people like you. Don't think, well, someone else will do it. We don't have that many of y'all listening, okay? There's not someone else to do it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we don't have. I mean, even like your lesser known comedians like Bobby Lee. I mean, Bobby Lee's well known, but he's not Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have Bobby Lee.
That's right.
Bobby Lee's followers. We're not even riffing with Griffin.
That's right. So you know,
I just
we
know
just need
as,
some.
I just know as the guy from Workaholics. I didn't know he was actually a comedian. So
Yeah. So you know, just get on there and share, share. You know, if you know someone that's a Tommy Smith fan, maybe they share some of the same things we said. You know, share that with them. If you just want to make fun of me losing the Clergy Bowl. Okay, listen, when I lost the Clergy Bowl, Clint, the guys I went against were older and bigger sports fans than the one Bobby B went against.
you were
okay?
like, my questions were so much harder than
They were
Bobby.
harder. And look, and you also, and you can ask Robert this, it's a lot harder when you're sitting in there in that studio. And then you got a time limit. Plus, I drove from Camden that morning on about 3 or 4 hours of sleep. And so my mind wasn't, those are all excuses. I got beat.
They are.
I got beat.
Well, you know what? You got the chance for redemption next week.
That's
it. And like Travis said, like, subscribe, share, comment, anything you want to hear me and him talk about, please. I mean, we love having the conversation about, hey, what should we talk about this week? What do you want to do on the podcast?
That's right.
But we would love to hear what you would like for us to talk about.
Exactly.
I know we're, I believe, 74 days from the first football game. So we're going to start previewing a few opponents here and there.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do other things. We
once again voted the hardest schedule in the country.
The hardest schedule. I don't. Yeah, the SEC games are hard, but I think they're going to be a lot better. But that's a totally other podcast, and we don't know what we're doing next week. We're going to be doing the Branscombe Cup.
The Branscombe Cup. Brand Stanza Cup.
I'm just going to get a cup, like a just a regular, like I may put one of these Slim Chicken
styrofoam cup.
Just write Branscombe on it. Here it is.
That's right.
I'll proudly display it like right here.
All right, folks, and try to go online, listen to our boy Sean Michelle. I did some communicating with him this week. He's got a May 7th. He had a brand new baby boy.
Ooh, congratulations, Sean.
Elijah Saint Michelle. He's going to go by Saint. Isn't that a cool name?
That is a cool name.
I thought that was a really cool name. Saint Michelle. Anyway, if he's in the right religion, he'd get, some statues made of him or something. But anyway, but he was a smiling, happy little boy. And so Sean's, of course, excited about that. But we appreciate Sean letting us use his music for our show. If you can't just use anybody's music nowadays, Clint. You got to have either original stuff or stuff, or get okayed by the people that did it. And so even though our show's small and not many people listen to it, you could get a lawsuit if you're not, if you don't have permission to use music. And so I was glad to have a talented friend named Sean that we could plug a couple of his songs in, and they fit well, man. I like them.
Yeah, I do too. And you don't want me and Travis singing.
No. And we will sing.
Yeah.
And we enjoy it.
Yeah. No one else will.
No one else will.
They say make a joyful noise before the Lord, and that's not me.
Yeah. I knew, I always tell people I knew as a little kid when I would sit in between my dad and my grandpa at church, that I was never going to be a singer, because if I grew up anything like them, I was going to be tone deaf. So anyway, y'all, hey, Clint, have a good week, buddy.
You do the
Hope
same.
it's a spectacular one, full of all your dreams and aspirations coming true, and lots of rims and tires sold. Ooh. And at the Renton Row. That's right. Making Conway look good. And we'll see you here next week whenever I show Clint what it's like to be the second smartest guy in the room. Booyah.
Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come. Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come. Listen, that's why I sweat when I work. My hands get filthy down in this dirt. Won't see no harvest till I hurt. Crying your kingdom come. Listen, I wake up in the morning, I bow my head to pray. Mama told me if I don't, ain't nothing gonna change. These prayers breaking up hard drive so I can sow the seed. Ain't afraid of no aches and pain. Lord knows I gotta follow his lead. That's why I sweat when I work. My hands get filthy down in this dirt. Won't see no harvest till I hurt. Crying your kingdom come.